If your orchids have been going through a bit of stress and we're battling to get them to root, there's one way that you can help your orchids root faster, and that's by feeding them with some of these organic fertilizers or organic plant foods. We'll take you through some of these organic plant foods and tell you how they're going to affect your plant and how they'll increase their root growth, especially after that stress when we really need them to be set off nicely. Welcome to the Nature Company. If this is the kind of information you're interested in, please hit that subscribe button down below and that notification bell to be notified of all our upcoming content so you don't miss out on a thing. So when we're looking at plant foods that are going to help our orchids recover from those stress periods where either they've lost their roots through root rot or we've done transplants, any number of things that may have caused that stress to the plant, and we want to bring it back to full health, we need to look at those organic plant foods that have got plant hormones in them. These plant hormones are going to stimulate the plant into producing those new roots that we want. So we're specifically looking for auxins and gibberellins to really help get that on the road. So one of the ones that there's a lot of buzz about is the seaweed extract. This is generally from kelp, and it does have a lot of those essential vitamins, minerals, and plant hormones that we're looking at to help boost your orchid. It's got a majority of the micronutrients that your orchid will need, but it is a little bit low in your NPK status. But that's not to worry about, because we're going to be using the seaweed extract as just a supplement to our normal orchid feeding. But remember again, orchids don't like to be fed in too high quantities too often. So if we are using seaweed extract, we can actually lower the percentages of our other plant foods that we're using as well. So we've all heard about the seaweed extract already, and we know it's going to help that plant force those new roots. So what other organic plant foods can we use to get the same sort of results? Another excellent one is alfalfa meal. This we're not going to be adding directly onto the plant, as we're going to be clogging up those air gaps that we need around the roots to ensure that we have all that aeration. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking that alfalfa meal and making a tea with it. The alfalfa also has all those major micronutrients in abundance. It's also got plant hormones and root stimulants in it that are going to be beneficial to your orchid in those times of stress. So it's just a matter of making up your alfalfa tea, and then again, not only watering in around the base of the plant, but spraying the leaves as well. These micronutrients from the alfalfa are readily available directly to your plant, so it's an excellent added advantage. Again, compost teas, another excellent way to get those plant hormones into your orchids with very little hassle. It's got to be from good quality organic compost with no extra additives, and then what you're going to be doing is just steeping that for 24 to 48 hours and then using that on your plant. Those hormones available in your compost tea are going to be absorbed directly into your orchid. And while we're talking about compost, humic acid and fulvic acid are also excellent root promoting compounds. Although generally the humic acid you're going to be getting is not in a tonic form, it's often in a solid form, and it's not always soluble. So if you can find the tonic, use the tonic rather than the hard physical compound, but that you can use in small amounts in and around your orchid without causing too much trouble, as it isn't going to disintegrate in your pot as you're watering. So these compounds help promote root production and root growth. They don't actually contain any hormones themselves, but they help reduce the oxidation and the breakdown of those rooting hormones so that they're available to the plant for longer periods. And of course, that will give your orchid the ability to grow those roots more easily as there's more time available to them. Another very commonly used product in orchid cultivation, but for often very different reasons, is coconut water. Coconut water is used extensively in micropropagation in orchid seed germination. It's put into the agar to help feed those plantlets while they're still extremely young. So this just goes to show the nutrient value that is in coconut water as it is. And not only do you get all those micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals, but you're also getting all those phytohormones. We're looking at the auxins, the gibberellins, and everything else in between, the cytokinins and salicylic acid. So not only are you getting the root promotion that you're getting from the auxins and the gibberellins, but you're also getting the advantage of having the salicylic acid, which helps your plant fight off stress. It helps the plant's defense against pathogens and in its response to abiotic stresses such as cold, drought, salinity, all that sort of stuff. So it helps build the strength up in your plant so it is less affected by stressful conditions. And this can only bring about stronger growth. So generally, if you can find a good quality organic coconut water without any additives, or you can even use a coconut milk that you've either made yourself or bought in a can, and then dilute that slightly further. And another excellent one is vermicompost. This is the compost derived from worm excrement. Once it's finished eating up to all those vegetable cuttings, you've thrown into your worm farm. This is actually quite high in various plant hormones, and not only is it going to help with the vigor and growth of your plant, it's going to make it less susceptible to disease and more resistant to stress. And with things like the vermicompost that also we're going to be making a tea from, and your compost teas, you're not going to be needing other fertilizers with it because you are going to be getting enough NPK. And when it comes to rooting, what we're particularly looking for is the P and the K, the phosphorus and the potassium. That's what we're looking for to help get those roots to really form properly. So in feeding with these organic plant foods, we're looking to produce an environment that's going to allow for a faster uptake of the potassium and the phosphorus. And in this, things like your seaweed extract that's got all those polysaccharides in it that are also going to make your roots more resistant to stress, but also it creates an environment in and around the root zone that the mycorrhizal fungi and bacteria love. And that is what's going to help your orchid recover faster. It produces the right environment and makes any other nutrients available to the plant more quickly. They form that symbiotic relationship with the orchid so that they can help feed the orchid faster as the orchid feeds them with carbohydrates that they are producing from photosynthesis. So this is one of the reasons that we like to use organic products. Also, the coconut water provides an excellent environment for rhizobacteria. And these rhizobacteria have a positive influence on plant growth, especially during those stressful times. But also be aware, not overusing the coconut milk or water, because if you're using it too frequently, you can start building up an area in your media that is now susceptible to all fungi and bacteria. And we want to keep our balance just right. So an excellent idea is, if you are ever able, rotate these plant foods around so that you're getting the benefit of all of them. Always remember, when dealing with plant foods, look at your mixing instructions. Follow them as directed. Don't think, the more I feed it, the faster it will grow. It's not going to work like that with orchids. Orchids generally come from the trees, where basically all the nutrient they're getting is coming down through the rain, washing down those branches of the leaves and over the roots. And they've got to catch what they can while they can. So their roots do an excellent job at catching those nutrients, so we don't have to give them too many. We don't want to build up a salt excess or organic excess in your media. That's going to either cause your media to sour and cause root rot, or allow an area inside your pot where pathogenic fungi and bacteria can grow. I do have to warn you with some of these products like the seaweed extract, with the vermicompost, and even sometimes the compost tea, there is a scent that you're going to have to deal with. The seaweed scent isn't too bad. It almost smells like you're near the beach somewhere in a way, with that sort of almost sea breeze kind of scent to it. But the vermicompost and compost teas can smell like manure. So please be aware of that when you're using them, and especially if your orchids are indoors. So allow for good ventilation. So remember, balance in all things is essential for your orchids to grow properly and be happy and have good root growth. We have put all this information up on the Buy Me a Coffee link down below. Thank you for watching. If you found any of this information helpful, please hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, bing bong, to be notified of all our upcoming content so you don't miss out on a thing.